Ross from Cultaholic.com, you're my sexual wang pheasants, and welcome to all of the WTF moments from the latest episode of Jackass. Oh no, I mean WWE Raw. So we kicked off the show with a dramatic package. Even more dramatic than that package there, where a voiceover and some stringed music was trying to make Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns more exciting than it actually is. It was as if WWE Raw were trying to pass off as if this most boring of rivalries was just like Captain Underpants versus the Blue Bottle or whatever the newest Marvel superhero film is. And during the package, the voiceover man said an anticipated challenge would arise while showing a picture of those two hipsters there. Granted, given the fact we saw the Revival versus Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns the week before, that appearance there was a bit unexpected, but considering we've seen it this week for the third pissing week in a row, how unexpected can an appearance from the Revival actually be? Let's just say you go on a mega bus 3 weeks in a row, and for 3 weeks in a row you catch chlamydia. The fourth week you go on, you know exactly what you're going to get. I guess then, by that logic, next week on WWE Raw we're going to see the Revival versus the really pushed against our will once again. Play that bloody siren, please. Maggle, 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 maggle. And while announcing the latest matchup in the best series of matches since Okada versus Omega, Maggle Cole claimed that the big dog and the big boring, eyebrowless bastard were looking to even the score after last week. Don't you try to pull the wool over our eyes like that, you numpty, because as we all know, 2 weeks ago, Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley beat the Revival, meaning last night's match was a decider with the scores already tied. What on earth happened to Kurt Angle? As we all know, he's supposed to be about the fall rise, intensity, intelligence, integrity, and interracial, but that look there from Seth Rollins is all it took for Kurt Angle to change his bloody mind. Kurt Angle wanted the match between those two there and the D&D double dick train or whatever Coachman called it to happen next week, but one look from Seth Rollins there and the match was changed to this week. Where's the integrity in that, Kurt? No wonder Lady Balls wipes her ass with you. Jonathan Coachman. 15 days from now, the Deleters of Worlds are defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against the B Team, are they? Why are the Raw Tag Team Championships being defended on SmackDown Live? They're not. Coachman just can't do maths. Curtis Axel doing that dentist dance off a fortnight. I push my fingers into my eyes. You have a match, but I don't have a match. I want a match. Where's me mammy? There's a time and a place for Dr. Shelby, but that is not it. As we all saw last week, Bayley was amazing. Her beatdown on Sasha Banks strapped the Rockets to this feud, brother. I was hoping they would attempt to murder each other at Extreme Rules before actually murdering each other at SummerSlam. This was a super serious storyline with a lovely backstory to it. What it doesn't need is Bayley reading magazines from lawyers. It doesn't need funny elevator music. And it doesn't need Dr. Shelby trying to be funny with a script that's as funny as AIDS. Imagine replacing My Way from WrestleMania 17's Rock and Stone Cold package, you know the one I'm talking about, with funny elevator music. This is what WWE did here. They misjudged the tone completely. Made a grave mistake, Corey. So Michael Cole says the AOP are going to be a force to be reckoned with on Monday Night Raw, and Corey Graves replies they already have been. Aye, if that force is like the one we see on Star Wars, invisible. They've done sweet FA since sort of arriving on Monday Night Raw, pal, so little we thought they'd actually given up this wrestling to become actual authors. So the valet does his job and asks for Kevin Owens' keys, but Kevin Owens replies, no chance, and I do not understand why. Keys or no keys, Braun Strowman can still flip that car upside on its head. It does not need to be unlocked for that to happen, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Kev, you're a numpty. Back to Coach when we go once again, and while speaking about KO and Braun Strowman's rivalry, he says that when you KO, you've got to turn up for work, even if you're late. I tell you what, Coachman, it's a very good job you do not work on SmackDown Live, because time and time again we saw Colonel McSweaty Bollocks rocking up halfway through a show. Did anyone complain about him being late? Did they bollocks? So there we see Roman Reigns, a man who Bobby Lashley doesn't like getting his arse handed to him, and Bobby Lashley is pushing his finger into his eyes. Earlier in the show we saw Bobby Lashley laughing at Roman Reigns when the big dog claimed he could defeat the Revival all on his lonesome, so Bobby Lashley in turn insinuated he could do the same, even though Bobby Lashley does not need Roman Reigns in his match against the Revival. As he already showed earlier in the show, Bobby Lashley is still pushing his finger into his eyes. Can't be asked to do that thing that time. Now Big Bob, I know at the height of someone who got hay fever, scratching your eyes feels really nice, but due to the stuff you said earlier in the show, pushing your fingers into your eyes there made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It happened again. For a second week in a row, we saw a Scotsman called Drew McIntyre headbutt a Samoan called Roman Reigns in the head and come out on top, despite the fact that in professional wrestling, a Samoan's head is harder than Tom Phillips on a bloody aeroplane. Bollocks to the bagpipes. Drew should be out there in a bloody hula skirt doing some, you know, that sign there. Now well done to WWE for confiscating that monstrosity. It wouldn't have been fantastic to see your boy Finn Bálor walk down and just rip it up. for the world to see. Or even better still, why not have a plant walk down, put himself next to that sign, and do this to it? Dash Dawson, you silly bloody diddlers. Cultaholic podcast reference. Roman's in a match. The longer he's out there, the better for you, because later in the night, you face him in another match. So why on earth are you out there bringing that first match to a premature conclusion? Now, I know some of you out there will be saying, but Ross Twiddell, they put Roman Reigns into the steel steps. They hurt that big doggy really hard. But I'm here to tell you, bollocks to that. They exerted their own energy doing that, when if they just sat in the back, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre could have done that for them, because they were already in a match with Roman Reigns to do that. You know what the diddlers say? Work smarter, not harder. Here on Raw, we settle things in the ring. Kurt Angle says, unless, of course, yes, Sasha Banks and Bayley, who are currently going through counselling, with funny elevator music and clowns and balloons. Now, as we all know, Kevin Owens was the subject of an attempted murder attempt at Money in the Bank when Braun Strowman threw him off a really high ladder. Last week on Raw, he had his car flipped upside down for absolutely no good reason. Shania Twain didn't even sing that good song he really likes. His best pal is out till next year. And now, if all that wasn't enough, Kurt Angle books him in a match with Braun Strowman, where Braun Strowman will presumably try to murder him again. Now, when you think of all of that, plus the fact he had to work with Colonel McSweaty Bollocks for a large chunk of time in WWE, inadvertently pitting Kevin Owens to be the biggest sympathetic babyface since Daniel Bloody Bryan. How can you not feel sorry for the fella, man? Kevin Owens wearing a Baron Corbin hoodie is not a WTF moment. So many people tweeted me saying, Ross, it's a WTF moment. But it's not. It's called sucking up to a person in power. What all the good diddlers do. So Michael Cole apparently asked Liv Morgan to give a word to describe herself, and Liv Morgan replied with juvenile. There's a dictionary full of words, man, and she went with one that has negative connotations. Liv Morgan is a numpty, pass it the piss on. Now, wearing those things like that does not make you the legit boss, weird Banks, Sasha, Bayley, Banks, theatre game thing. It makes you the sob legit. Which is great, because I was sobbing during the entirety of all of the segments involving Dr. Shelby. WWE, what have you done? You've turned a bloody serious rivalry into a laughing stock. So Bobby Lashley has a new theme already, because that was the problem, WWE, his music. I tell you what though, now that he's got a theme that sounds like your granddad giving those guttural farts he only does after Christmas dinner, Bobby Lashley's great now, isn't he? No. So Scott Dawson, in the words of Michael Cole with no visual prompt on screen, apparently tweeted that Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley are fish, while the Revival are sharks. Last time I checked, they're fish too. Maggleman, for Christ's sake, every single week you're all about the big dog, but he couldn't have done the same about the big fish and the little fish, could you? That jibe would have made perfect sense if you did. I bet you like fish sticks, don't you? Again, working on the midsection, Maggle Cole says, what on earth are you talking about, Maggle? He's not a crab or a jellyfish. His face, it's not on the middle. And next up we have Jonathan Coachman claiming we couldn't have seen Bobby Lashley walking away from Roman Reigns while Roman Reigns was getting beaten down by those sharks called the Revival. Yeah, Coachman, let's just forget about the last month of TV and the fact that earlier in this show, Bobby Lashley clearly said he doesn't like Roman Reigns. Each and every week, Coachman, you get closer and closer to the stupidity of Booker T. So Kevin Owens walked into Kurt Angle's office trying to get that match with Braun Strowman changed, and Kurt Angle was having none of it. What you playing at, Kevin? All you have to do to change Kurt Angle's mind is pull a Seth Rollins and pull a face. I can't remember what that face is, so we'll go with this one. Back to Coach when we go, and this time he claims it's going to be interesting to hear what Roman Reigns has to say about Bobby Lashley turning his back on him, and hopefully Roman Reigns says absolutely nothing about it. Again, earlier in the same show, Roman Reigns made it perfectly clear that he does not need Bobby Lashley to defeat the Revival, so if he moans about it, he's a bloody hypocrite then, isn't he? WWE.com exclusive being shown on the USA Network and many other networks around the world. Why do they still do this? Why haven't they realised that this is much of a lie as Jonathan Coachman? So Ronda Rousey announced to Renee Young on Monday that she's going to buy a front row ticket for Extreme Rules, and I'm here asking, how on earth is there a front ticket seat left without an arse in it? You're telling me we're 13 days away from a big WWE pay-per-view and a front row seat is left unclaimed? It's a good job there's a fox with deep pockets, isn't it, WWE? Nia Jax, what do you mean how you would call it a legal Money in the Bank cash-in? It's legal for everybody else in the world too. That's how the thing works. Don't you have a go at Alexa Bliss like that, because as we all know, the moral of your story with her so far is that bullies always prosper. Braun Strowman can get his voice this high. Although, the fact that he immediately resorted to pretend to be a small girl / woman without even thinking about it makes me wonder what he does in his spare time. And so we ended with Raw turning into Jackass with Braun Strowman pushing Kevin Owens, who was inside a porta potty, off a bloody stage. It looks like somebody just blew their load all over Kevin Owens, doesn't it? But blue spelt the blue way. Haha, 5 stars. What a crappy way to end Raw this was. Porta potties there. Haha, 5 stars. But we end this video with a sobering thought because we learned last night that to get her tongue blue, Liv Morgan licks toilets. Pass it on. 5 stars. And that's it for all of your WTF moments from Jackass 4. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com. Thank you very much for being a sexual wankfest. And if you want to follow me on the Twitter machine, please follow me at @RossOnWrestling. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, it's patreon.com/Cultaholic. Anything you afford to give us will be greatly appreciated. But most importantly of all, subscribe to this channel and join us everywhere that we have the things.